Hi everyone, today we're going to be looking at Shin Megami Tensei 4 for the Nintendo 3DS. Let's jump right on in with what I think is the absolute best feature of the game, and that is the Demon Collection and Fusion system. The way this works is really simple. While you're basically doing anything in the game, you're going to get attacked. And while you're attacked, you have the ability to scout demons, basically talk to them. And when you talk to them, you have the option of basically trying to get them to join your party. This is done by giving them basically Maka, which is the game's currency, or other items like a life stone and things of that nature. When they're actually part of your system, that's where things get really interesting, because basically you can fuse different demons together to make them more powerful. You can actually take some of their abilities and use them on your main character. It's an incredibly deep and rich system, and if you want to find out more about it, by all means check out the other videos that I've done on the system. It's really, really interesting. Next up is the combat system itself. I really enjoy this. It's possible to get up to 8 attacks per turn. This is a turn-based game, so think of that. That makes you feel pretty damn powerful. And the way this is done is basically by exploiting demons' weaknesses. So it takes a little trial and error at first to really get used to the system, but it works exceedingly well. The level up system is equally impressive. As you gain levels, you get app points, which you can basically use to purchase a wide variety of useful new abilities. For example, your demons will use 1 MP less per magical attack, things like that. There's just a wide variety of different apps you can purchase that are very, very helpful. You also gain stat points, and stat points you will use to make your character more and more powerful. And what I really like with this is that you can totally customize this as you see fit. So for example, if you want to make a character that is mainly magic based, well, by all means, go ahead. Something else that no one's really talked about that I really enjoy is the New Game Plus mode. You have 2 options. You can bring over nothing at all and just start a new game, or you can bring over absolutely everything, and that absolutely rocks. So imagine if you finish the game at, say, like level 65, you can actually restart the whole game with level 65, all your app points, your demon book is still there, so you can bring back any demon you want with Maka, which is the game's currency, and it's mind-blowing, like what you have access to, because you also have access to all your Maka, which means, in essence, the team that you finished the game with, you can actually start anew with those very same guys and just blast through the entire game. I also really enjoyed the audio-visual presentations. The graphics themselves are around PlayStation 2 level graphics, from what I recall, of the PlayStation 2, that is. So you can expect your main character to be animated really, really nicely. He's all 3D, looks really, really nice. Combat system, it harkens back basically to the classic Dragon Quest series, where it's in first person and your enemies are static 2-dimensional drawings, but they're really, really nice, and great variety of demons in the game. Plus, in terms of the audio, not only is the entire game voice acted, just about, it's about 80% voice acted, but the music is bloody awesome. Now, that's about all the stuff I'm going to say for the positives. Now let's jump into some of the negatives. The storyline, I thought, started off really strong, was really interesting about different classes, how about, like, basically the society is broken down into 2 different classes, and, you know, you don't decide where you end up. It's basically you're born into this class. But later on in the story, as it evolves, it becomes much more of your typical, like, either save or destroy the world type of stuff. That said, I really enjoyed how the story gets darker and darker as you progress. The other complaints I have, I've already mentioned before, which is essentially the no map. There's no world map. There is while you're exploring in third-person mode, but once you actually hit the real overworld, things sort of take a nosedive, because it becomes very cumbersome in order to find where you need to go. You might have a quest that says, okay, head to XYZ, but they don't tell you that in order to get there, you have to bypass 2 completely different areas. A world map would have at least given you an idea of, oh, okay, it's in like the northwestern area. Now, sometimes they do tell you that, but not always. And when they don't tell you, you can expect to take a good hour or 2 just finding out where you got to go, and that can be a little annoying at times. Another issue that pops up quite frequently is the cumbersome camera system. Because you're constantly in tight corridors and things like that, I found that very frequently it's just awkward to position the camera where you exactly want it. It would have been a lot easier with a second analog stick, but that's not the game's fault. That's the limitations of the 3DS. But by and far, the worst feature of SMT4 is the lack of an aggro table on enemies. This means that every single enemy in the entire game will constantly race towards you and attack you. And later on in the game, you will literally be held in place by these mystical hands so that you're forced into combat. It can get to the point where you can walk about 5 or 6 steps before you're getting dragged into combat. And believe me, after a while, it becomes very, very tedious. Now, all that said, let's wrap this up by saying I do think this is one of the very best games on, well, one of the very best RPGs currently available on the 3DS. If you're looking for the official score I've given the game, head on over to projectcoe.com, and thank you very much for watching.